Ant-Man stands in the middle of his workshop, brainstorming ideas for Wasp's surprise party. He decides on baking a cake, something he's never done before. As he starts pulling up recipes, Groot enters, offering to help, claiming, "I am Groot." Ant-Man translates it as, "I'm the best baker in the galaxy." The duo begins gathering ingredients. Groot accidentally grabs a bag of fertilizer instead of flour. Ant-Man, horrified, yells, "That's not flour, Groot." Groot shrugs and responds, "I am Groot," as if saying, "It's close enough." Ant-Man quickly replaces it with actual flour. As they start mixing the batter, Ant-Man shrinks to add a pinch of baking powder from inside the box. Groot, unaware, tosses the box into the bowl, trapping Ant-Man in the batter. Ant-Man yells, "Groot, get me out of here." Groot carefully picks him out, chuckling. They realize they're missing eggs. Ant-Man climbs into the fridge and rolls an egg toward Groot. Groot catches it, but his grip is too strong, cracking the egg all over Ant-Man. "I am Groot," Groot says, trying to apologize, but Ant-Man groans, covered in yolk. Groot suggests using sap from his arm as a natural sweetener. Ant-Man hesitates but agrees to a small amount. Groot overdoes it, and the batter becomes sticky and unworkable. "Great, now we've made glue," Ant-Man grumbles, scraping the bowl. Ant-Man decides they need a break and sets the oven to preheat. Groot gets curious and opens the oven door, letting all the heat out. "Groot, you're not supposed to open it," Ant-Man scolds, while Groot sheepishly closes the door, saying, "I am Groot." They attempt to pour the batter into a pan, but Groot accidentally tilts the bowl too much, spilling half of it onto the floor. Ant-Man sighs, grabs a spatula, and says, "We'll make do with what's left." Groot begins cleaning up the mess with his roots. As the cake bakes, Groot grows flowers to decorate it. The flowers bloom too large and wrap around the pan, cracking it slightly. "We didn't need a garden, Groot," Ant-Man jokes, while trying to cut the flowers back. When the timer dings, Ant-Man removes the cake, only to realize it's slightly burnt on one side. Groot proudly says, "I am Groot," as if it's perfect. Ant-Man decides to cover the burnt part with extra frosting. Groot insists on adding a finishing touch by placing a glowing crystal on top of the cake. The crystal's light reflects beautifully, and Ant-Man reluctantly agrees it adds a magical effect. The duo prepares the table for Wasp's party. Groot attempts to inflate balloons but accidentally pops a few with his sharp branches. Ant-Man sighs and hands him a pump, saying, "Let's keep it safe, Groot." Groot accidentally knocks over a bowl of punch while adjusting decorations. Ant-Man quickly shrinks and dives into the punch bowl to save the floating fruit slices. Groot, impressed, says, "I am Groot." Wasp arrives earlier than expected, surprising the duo mid-cleanup. Groot tries to hide the cake behind his massive hands, but Wasp catches a glimpse and smiles, saying, "Looks like I interrupted a masterpiece." The party begins, and Wasp cuts the cake. As she tastes it, her expression changes to surprise. "Is that sap?" she asks. Ant-Man and Groot exchange nervous glances but laugh as she says, "It's surprisingly good." Guests arrive, complimenting the duo's efforts. Rocket Raccoon sarcastically says, "Next time, let me handle the baking," while snatching a slice of cake. Groot playfully swats him away. As the party winds down, Wasp thanks them for the effort, calling it her sweetest birthday ever. Groot proudly says, "I am Groot," and Ant-Man adds, "Teamwork makes the dream work." Rocket suggests taking the leftover cake for himself. Groot blocks him and says, "I am Groot," implying the cake stays. Rocket smirks and mumbles, "Can't argue with that logic." As the night ends, Groot surprises Wasp by growing a small flower bouquet from his arm. Wasp beams and says, "This is the perfect end to a perfect day." Cleaning up, Ant-Man and Groot recount their baking adventure. "Next time, we'll skip the sap," Ant-Man jokes. Groot, holding a mixing spoon, replies, "I am Groot," suggesting he disagrees. The camera pans out as the duo sits exhausted on the couch, enjoying the last slice of cake together. Groot leans over and says, "I am Groot," to which Ant-Man replies, "Yes, we're a great team." The screen fades to black.